Hello everyone. So today we are going to be playing Kerbal Space Program. In this game, you launch rockets and you take these lovely guys to space and beyond. So first we need to start the game. Start game, start new. We are going to make a default career game. Normal difficulty. I prefer this flag. You can choose your own flag. We are going to name the game My Game for now. So we are greeted by Jean Kerman giving us a small tutorial on how to do it. And this is the KSC, the Kerbal Space Center. This is the funds monitor. This tells us we have 25,000 Kerb bucks. This tells us how much reputation we have. As you can see, we're at the very start. This is much less reputation. This is much more reputation. Reputation allows you to unlock better contracts, higher paying contracts. This is the science window, and we use the science window. We can go on different launches. We can run science experiments to gain science points, and then using the science points in the research and development center, we can unlock nodes which give us more parts. So for example, for this node we need 5 science, for this node we need another 5 science, etc. This is mission control, and we can take contracts here. If you'd like to know more about Kerbal Space Program, on my blog I've written an introduction to Kerbal Space Program. The link is in the description below. So as you can see, it says active contracts 2, max 2. That means the only contracts we can take are these 2. That's it. These are the only contracts we can take until we complete these or we cancel these. We are not going to cancel these. So to complete these contracts, we first need a ship. So we are going to enter the vehicle assembly building. Here we have Werner von Kerman, Chief Rocketry Engineer, introducing us to the vehicle assembly building. So I have the 2 DLCs on, the Making History and the Breaking Ground DLC. This one I think comes from the Making History, I'm not sure. And if you do not have these DLCs installed, then the only part you'll have is the Mark 1 command pod. So we will take our Mark 1 command pod onto here. So we are going to go up, and when we come down we need to be safe, right? So for that we need to have a parachute. Otherwise your Kerbals and the ship will explode on impact. Next thing, we need a form of propulsion. So we're going to take this RT5 Flea solid fuel booster and put it underneath our rocket. As you can see, this is our only engine and we have absolutely no fuel tanks. So a solid fuel booster has fuel already in it, as you can see, and it's non-throttleable. So you can set this thrust limiter to whatever you wish, like 78, 68, whatever. But once it's up, you cannot change this value. So once it's off, it's off. That's it. Later in the game, we will be getting liquid fuel engines, which are throttleable, but they do not have fuel already in them. So that's when we will need the fuel tanks. So for now, these are the only materials we have. So we'll have to make do with them. Now one more thing. This is a science mission, so we need science. So we go down to the science tab over here. We can grab 3 mystery goose, one for the launch pad, one for when we're up in the air, and another for wherever we land. Now here's the thing. You might have noticed me clicking this button over here. This is the symmetry mode. I mean, you could always like put one mystery go here, kind of guess at the symmetry, put another one here, and something like that. But especially with a ship as small as this, that is going to make it more likely to spin out of control. So what we need instead is to use the symmetry mode. We can set it up to 3 symmetry, and we can do it like this. Now we have to be careful not to block the hatch, because if we block it, then Kerbals cannot EVA from the hatch. Another way to do it would be to press R and put it on mirror symmetry like that, and then put on one and then switch back to normal symmetry mode using R again and place another one in the middle. This might make it ship out of control, I'm not sure, we have to see. Alright, so let's look at the staging. This is the staging diagram. At the moment, as you can see, we've got the engine firing off and the parachutes deploying at the same time. That doesn't work, as you can imagine. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to move this engine down to the first stage. Now it might seem like this stage should fire first and then this stage, but actually the bottom stage always fires first and then does this. Let's also look at this number here, the delta V. Delta V is how much you can change your speed by, which the amount of delta V determines how far you can go. I will explain more about delta V in the next video. At the moment we have 714 meters per second, which is at sea level, as you can see, and at vacuum 841. It's not a high amount, so we won't be going very far with the ship. So we can call this my first ship. So now let's launch. So as you can see, we're on the launch pad. Over here is the rest of the KSC, the Kerbal Space Center. Over here is the altimeter, which tells us how far away we are from the ground. We have from sea level 69 meters and from the ground 0 meters. Well, 2 meters because the ship is 2 meters tall. We also have this thing over here, the nav ball, and we can use it to decide how we control, where we go. For example, this end over here, the 90-degree line, would be east. This line over here would be south, this line would be north, and this line would be west. This is the maneuver mode, and this tells you, at the moment it only gives you the apoapsis and your periapsis. At the moment the periapsis is unimportant. When we go to orbit, only then will it be useful. But as apoapsis, once we fire this off, this will tell us how high we are going to go. What is the highest point in our trajectory? The periapsis tells us the lowest point in our trajectory. And as you can see, there are these other tabs which will only be unlocked once we upgrade the tracking station in the KSC, and for that we need cash. We also have the map mode, and this shows us Kerbal, the main home planet of the Kerbals, and here's the moon, and out here is this Kerbal's second moon, Minmus, but that's for a later video. So once we launch, we will also be able to see our trajectory, how we're going to land, etc., etc. Using this button over here, we can choose whether to display staging or not. I would suggest never to mess with it. You do need to see your staging. Alright, so SAS, this is the stability assist, and this helps you maintain control of your craft. In here we have Jebediah Kerman, who's a pilot, There are also scientists and engineers who do different things. At the moment, since we want to have control of our vessel, we need a pilot. So let's already take our first mystery goo from the launch pad. Jeb can come out. He can do an EVA report. Oh wait, I forgot to do the crew report. Crew report, EVA Jeb again, and we will take the data from here, because once we do a crew report, it's not runnable until we've taken the experiments and stored them again. So now the mystery goo, the crew report, and the EVA report are all set up. So we can put on stability assist and use this to toggle the space to stage. You hold the space bar key. So we're gonna press space bar, and we are, as you can see, the mystery goos are slightly making it pitch over to that end, so that was maybe a bad idea. The symmetry wasn't perfect, but in the end this gets us landing in the water, which is what we want. So we will do a crew report. As you can see, we cannot EVA Jeb, as he cannot disembark while off Kerbal surface. We need an astronaut complex upgrade for that. One of the challenges of playing in career mode. And as you can see from map view, we are going to be landing in the water. So let's stage to get our parachutes. Spacebar, and we hopefully the mystery goos do not mess it up too much. To control your pitch, you use, as you can see, I'm trying to make sure it lands flat on the ground. You use the WASD keys to move your bird icon. The bird icon is your ship, around on the nav board to adjust your attitude. As you can see, our parachute is now deployed, so we will be landing right about now. So this will get boring after a while. It takes a long time for the parachute and things, especially when coming in from higher velocities. So you can also time warp using this. And see, as you can see, everything's moving faster because you've made time speed up, essentially. And we are landed in the water. So we have one final mystery goo containment unit, and we can observe mystery goo. Jeb can get off the ship again. As you can see, we're in a totally different biome now. We are not at the KSC anymore. The KSC is all the way over there, which allows us to take a lot more science. So EVA report, we'll take the crew report out again, take data, store experiments, and then Jeb can board and we'll take another crew report. So now, as you can see, we have all these experiments stored. Has Jeb taken the crew report? No. Yeah. So we have all these experiments stored. We have an EVA report from the launch pad, EVA report from the shores, crew report while flying over Kerbal shores. That was the one we took while we were flying. Crew report from the launch pad, and yeah, that's all the science we're going to be able to get today. Except one interesting bit of science. Space. Use space to let go. Hopefully this doesn't cause it. Actually, never mind. I'll show this in it. Yeah. There is a trick where you can jump and it thinks you're flying, so you can get an EVA report flying low. However, in this ship, it's not very well balanced, so I'd rather not mess up the ship's balance more. So now we can recover the vessel. And we made 43 signs from that mission. We got, as you can see, it has all of this. This is all the signs we got. we got most of the money we spent back, plus we got most of the money we spent back because we recovered the entire thing. We only lost fuel, and we also got paid for doing our contracts. So you might have noticed that we have a lot more money than we did earlier. Next. So now we can go into the research and development center, and we can see our tech nodes. So we can unlock a few now already. We can get this one, the swivel, which is our first liquid fuel engine. Basic engineering, which gives us more science. Survivability, this gives us even more science plus a heat shield. So if we come down from a higher velocity, it will help us. So that's a must have. It also the basic engineering node also gave us decouplers. So now we don't have to land with the entire engine attached. We're more likely to survive the landing. For the rest of our science, this is the only one we can afford, so we'll also take this one. I should have done this earlier, but let's have an introduction to our amazing Kerbonauts. So we have Jebediah Kerman, who flew this mission. As you can see, he got a little bit of XP for that, and in his log it says flight at Kerbal. We have Bill Kerman, an engineer, and he can repair broken parts. He can also reassemble an entire ship in orbit if you ever need to do that. He also, as you can see in the effects, increases resource converter efficiency and all of that, and that comes later in, like, a lot later in the game when you're harvesting resources from the moon or Minus. We have Bob Kerman, a scientist. Now, as you saw, I had to put on 3 mystery goos, right? Had to put on 3 mystery goos because each one of them was only runnable once. However, if we have Bob can, as a scientist, he could have reset it. We would have only needed 1. And finally, Valentina Kerman, another pilot, and she'll be flying our next mission. So we can go to our contracts. As you can see in our archives, we have this. We completed these, and we've got some more contracts here. We have Escape the Atmosphere, which is definitely the easier one. Administration says that legally we cannot call ourselves a space program without actually going to space. Yeah, that makes sense. So we will take Escape the Atmosphere. Orbit Kerbal, not yet. And these contracts are way ahead of us. We cannot do them yet. This is something we can do. Normally, I stay away from these part testing contracts, but this one doesn't seem to have any of the fine print. As you can see in this one, it has a lot of fine print, like altitude has to be this time, and sometimes the speeds don't quite match, and it's really hard to do. This one seems fairly simple. All they want us is to use the swivel, and we just have to use it, which we're going to do anyway. So we'll accept this contract. So now we're going to have to escape the atmosphere. Since we used a booster earlier, we can instead now use these mystery goos. This mirror idea clearly didn't work, so we'll take them off. We'll use a liquid fuel engine this time, since we used a solid fuel earlier, and we also don't have any solid fuel boosters that big. So first things first, we're going to be coming in from a lot higher, so we'll have more speed, and that will cause some re-entry heating. So we can put on a heat shield. However, we're not going to be coming in that hot, so we can remove most of the ablator. Ablator is what absorbs the heat. We can remove most of it, as we probably won't need it all. That saves us some mass and some cost. Next, we don't want to land with the entire fuel tanks, everything. We'll probably explode. Our one parachute can't handle that. So what we'll instead do, we'll use a part that we just unlocked, the TD12 decoupler. And then, as you can see in the staging sequence, if we hit stage, this entire part will go flying away. So we will need quite a bit of fuel to go up that high. We will put on a swivel. This should be more than enough. I'm probably over budgeting here, so let's try it out. We will name this Escape the Atmosphere. Maybe one more fuel tank. I'm probably overdoing it, but yeah. So as you can see, we have in the engineer's report, because we haven't upgraded the vehicle assembly building or the launch pad, we have mass issues. So we have a limit of 30 parts, which is actually extremely limiting, especially for fuel, as we only have these itty bitty fuel cans, and we also have a mass limit. Next, I'm going to introduce you to thrust to weight ratio. So a thrust to weight ratio tells you how much thrust versus the weight of your entire craft. And I like, if you're going if you got too much thrust, you'll be going too fast, and that can cause your vehicle to explode. So what we're going to do instead is turn the thrust limiter down until we've got it to, I usually use maybe 1.33. That's a good thrust to weight ratio. Yeah, there we go, that's close enough. Let's make this spaceship a bit prettier. Again, I'm right clicking to get all these context menus, so yeah. There we go, that looks a lot cleaner, and we can now launch. It's probably better to keep the decoupler with the parachute, because then that arms our parachute before we reach. So we can now launch this ship. For this, as these are throttleable, we need to set it up to full throttle or it's not going anywhere. So you can use the shift and control keys. Shift to make the throttle up, control to make it go down, shift, control to adjust the throttle. If you wanted to go to full throttle, you press Z, and if you wanted to go to no throttle at all, you press X. Okay, so at the moment we want it fully throttleable, and we will press Z. Now, as you might have noticed, you see this gimbal limit. So gimbaling is one form of attitude control. So it allows you to control your vessel much more. Oh, hang on a sec, we forgot the signs. So this is another way to show you. If you press escape, you can revert flight to vehicle assembly, and we'll add the signs. This time I won't be making the same mistake. Yeah. And we've already got the main, we've already got the flying high, the landing, and the launch pad. So what we're instead going to do is we just need one for the upper atmosphere and another one for when we are in space. So that makes, we only need two. And we need 5 thermometers and 5 barometers, since we've never run these before. So honestly, the thermometers and the barometers aren't very heavy and they make pretty much no difference. So this is also possible. Not the mystery goose are so much heavier. Oh, symmetry. One sec. Yeah. So it's okay to do something like this. I wouldn't recommend it, but we don't have a lot of sticking on space here, so. We don't want to block the hatch because of EVAs. Yeah. And yeah, we can now launch. We'll save this craft. Launch. So again, SAS, throttle up. One thing I like to do before we launch is pin each context menu up so that I don't have to fiddle around while flying. It makes it a lot easier to run the experiments, unless you've got a mod that autopilots the experiments. So I'll do this. Right click, pin, right click, pin. And our mystery goose. Especially when you've got as many science experiments as you've got here, it's best to pin. Alright, finally we're off. Press Z, space, and we should be off. We are going to tilt slightly east because we want to land in the water. So yeah, and we can watch our apoapsis here, and we can watch our ascent from map view as well, so we get an idea of how we're doing. Maybe a little bit more pitch. Yeah. So conveniently from the KC, east is towards the water. So all you need to do is point towards the east and it'll take you there. As you can see, we've got a heading of 95, which east is 90, so we are pretty close. We can see we're halfway through our fuel. Our apoapsis is at 10 kilometers. But as we're entering higher into the atmosphere, we'll be going higher with the amount of fuel we've got. So hopefully this is enough to take us to past the atmosphere. If it isn't, we just revert back to VAB, add some more fuel tanks. Okay, this is looking like it might not make it. So in Kerbal Space Program, space is 70 kilometers. Oh, we're making it. Okay, I forgot to take the signs. I was so tense, so we'll do that now. You can also see how high we are in the atmosphere now. We're entering upper atmosphere. This was in the upper atmosphere, so we lost a lot of signs there. But it's okay, we can always take some more later. We'll be doing these launches multiple times. Once we enter space, we'll take a crew report. Jeb can't EVA, so we'll wait till we're a little bit higher. Time warp. And we're in space. So let's quickly take as much science as we can, as we aren't exactly. Yeah. And we'll take a mystery goo. Yeah. And that's pretty much all we need to do. As you can see, once we're in space, we have a lot more time warp options. So we'll just quickly warp up to our apoapsis, and we've hit our apoapsis now at 94, and now we're going right back down. You can see the vertical speed indicators pointing straight down now. We are landing at the water, right? Yeah. Okay. So now would be a good time to get rid of this. And there goes our stage. The booster that brought us up. We will be entering the low atmosphere again, so this will give us a chance to get hold of more of that science. And this time I'll pay more attention. So we're still in the upper atmosphere. We need to go a little bit more down. Need to be in here. As you can see, the parachute is already armed because it was in the same stage as the decoupler. So as soon as it's safe, it'll automatically unfold. You can see a bit of our re-entry heating, and now we can get some more science. Log temperature, log pressure data, and observe mystery goo. Actually, no mystery goo. We've already done this. And once we are back flying low again, once we're in this part of the atmosphere, and we can grab a little bit more thermometer science. Pressure data, log pressure data. Yeah. And now we'll time warp till the time we land. So you can see it automatically unfurled. And it's fully deployed now. And we're going very slowly. Which is why time warp is helpful in this case. And we are landed. So we can take another temperature scan. We can take a pressure. Oh no, this one's already used up. This one. And we can take, we've already got a Mashigu here, so, oh, 4 signs. And we can now recover the vessel. We got 82 signs from that mission. And as you can see, our contracts tided us over a little bit more again. And we can get some more notes. So our next episode is going to be going to orbit. Oh, we can get the Science Junior from Basic Science, which is honestly one of the best, gives one of the best returns for science. So we are going to use up some of our precious science here. Flight control. This gives us the two crewed re-entry module and reaction wheels. Reaction wheels are another way of controlling the attitude of your spaceship. The small Mark 1 command pod has a small set, but having more might be useful. If you don't have gimbaling on your ship, reaction wheels are the best way to control. We could get the Reliant, which gives you more thrust, but as you can see, 205 kilonewtons, 240 kilonewtons. This gives us more thrust than the swivel and bigger fuel tanks. But the Reliant doesn't have gimbaling. So maybe 45, how much is this? 20. We can't afford them both. But maybe just for the bigger fuel tanks, we'll take this one. And we can't afford anything else. So in the next episode, I will be taking our ship to orbit. So see you then. Thank you all for watching. Hit that subscribe and like. Thank you. Bye.